There is so much potential in Africa that has not been tapped. Look at the population that is growing in Africa. We have the most youthful population. We have great resources. We are exporting labor. We are exporting natural resources. We are exporting raw materials so that they can go abroad and come back to Africa, being sold at a higher rate. And so I'm trying to think of how I can particularly contribute to the way Africa is able to tell its own story, sell its own products, sell its own kind of wealth that we have. We have a lot of untapped wealth. Marketing will help us solve that gap. And so, looking at East Africa and the impact that we've had, I've focused on marketing, I've focused on digital marketing, social media marketing, and branding. Moving forward, I'm looking at now tapping into the new ways of marketing, tapping into understanding innovative marketing, AI, machine learning, and also to build up on the experience that I have with events and in-person meetings, and how marketing can be coupled into those meetings. So do it in East Africa and grow into Africa in the next couple of years as a way of making Africa great. Right?
All right. Thank you for showing up today, Mr. Eugene Mushai. And yes, so let's start by you telling us a little bit about you.
Great. Thanks so much, Alan, and thanks for this invitation. It's always a privilege.
Thank you.
Having a time to have a conversation, real conversations about real issues, real
Yes.
people, and real changes in society that necessitate us to make or change our mindset, change our way of doing things, and also change the way we look at social impact and business, and even the society at large. Quite a lot is changing. Quite a lot requires us to be adaptive and flexible. Quite a lot is happening even in Kenya that requires all people to remain as flexible as possible, as innovative as possible. And so I am here to just enjoy this conversation with you and love the fun of talking about life.
Awesome.
It's interesting.
Awesome. Yes, Mr. Eugene.
Great.
Now, let's rewind a little bit and let's get to understand who Eugene is.
Great.
And, where your journey started and, where you started initially.
Great. Eugene is a Kenyan youth. I am happy.
What do you mean Kenyan youth? Like 35 below? Or are you
I'm actually below 35.
Oh,
I'll be happy to be 35 in the next couple of years.
Uh-huh.
But at this point, I'm happy to enjoy the few years that I have being a Kenyan youth. Being a Kenyan youth is very exciting. So just born and raised in Nairobi. Had a short stint in my upcountry for about 2 years, where I learned quite a lot in my early days while I was in primary school. Had some time to enjoy real nature, real life in the woods and in the farm. I learned a bit of farming, herding, and ABCD from my little time upcountry. I spent a majority of my time in Nairobi slums. Got a lot of inspiration from my early days, my childhood days, being in the streets, being in the open field movies. I used to love even just playing football, paper football out there. And, sometimes I sit down and miss those moments. When I used to play paper football, sometimes I used to have stones inside the paper football.
Oh my goodness.
And so those experiences of my early days shaped my days in high school, where I started orienting myself with business skills and computer skills. I also started orienting myself with basically how to deal with people, how to engage communities, and so on and so forth. Right after high school, I got into basically business orientation. Studied business, wanted to understand business, interacted with people, even got friends and mentors who told me about business and taught me about business. And so that shaped my post-high school days into campus, after campus. Been in business for quite a long time. I think about 12 years now. Been in business from a young age.
What kind of business?
I'll tell you more about the business.
Okay, can't wait.
Yeah, but go to business. I've also done some practice with NGO work. so serving communities across Kenya and across Africa. It's been an interesting time, especially serving persons with disabilities. That has been the highlight of my moments in the NGO world. And also being able to cover marketing communications for storytelling, social impact, and what really matters in the lives of those who are marginalized, those who are vulnerable. That has been a great time for me in the NGO practice. But also in business, I've had a lot of fun doing events and marketing. That has taken the past 10 years doing events and marketing. It's been lovely. I've learned quite a lot. I've learned the art of community engagement. I've learned the art of marketing, in-person meetings, bringing people together, and even making people enjoy being together. You know, even in the digital world, I realized that more people are tending towards wanting to engage with each other physically. Even as we enjoy our digital spaces and the advent of tech and AI and virtual conferences and such, people still want to meet and talk. And that is why I'm in the business of bringing people together to meet and talk and create and secure opportunities for each other.
So this often involves either one-on-one or one-to-many, where you bring a lot of people together in all fields, including people with disabilities, as I heard you say.
Yes.
All right, man. I'm very curious to understand, like, now, what your business entails with this aspect of communication and bringing people together.
So I studied marketing both in my undergrad and my postgraduate.
Yeah, where was that?
So my undergraduate in Kenya.
Yes.
Studied at Moi University.
Yes.
Had an amazing time studying business management and marketing at Moi University. It's not one of the easiest courses when you are in Moi University.
Tell me about it.
Because one, you'll have to learn so many things that are totally unrelated to marketing.
Yes.
So I found it.
That's in class or outside class?
In class first.
Okay.
So you learn quite a lot. Some of the content that you learn in school is it doesn't make sense at that time. It makes sense many years later, especially when you get to business management and actual practice beyond just digital marketing and advertising.
Okay.
Then you start understanding why you are being taught statistics and mathematics. It starts making sense when you're practicing, when you're leading teams, when you're leading systems and organizations. Start making sense. But at that time, it didn't make sense. So after about 3-4 years of practicing, after my undergraduate, I also started my postgraduate and decided to do global marketing management, which I did with the Chartered Institute of Marketing and completed. Just graduated in 2024 in the UK. Very excited to now look at marketing from a global perspective.
How was it studying over there? How long was it in UK?
I actually studied in Kenya virtually, but graduated in the UK. So virtual trainings, my tutors are in Kenya.
Yes.
I loved the fact that I enjoyed the company of many marketers who are way experienced than I am. And just being in class with senior managers, marketing directors, marketing managers of big corporates across Africa, and making it to the end of the postgraduate makes a lot of sense. So there's a lot that changed in terms of what I believed in terms of marketing. Now I'm able to look at marketing from a global perspective. There's a lot to be solved in the global scene that Kenyans need to understand and embrace. Especially when you look at AI, when you look at marketing innovations, new trends in marketing, what really matters in marketing, the ethics around marketing. So when you look at global trends in marketing and how marketing is structured in organizations, you'll realize that people are tending towards buying from organizations that respect social impact. People are buying from organizations that look or seem to be more sustainable. People are more interested in organizations that care about the environment, about the community. Those are things that you don't study in class. You need to do it post class and by interacting with people, and not just in Kenya, but globally.
Globally.
Yes.
All right. So, what is your specific market on a global scale? Do you normally focus so much on the Kenyan market, or do you spend majority of your time on your business field focusing on other countries and what's not?
Okay. So for the better part of my marketing practice,
Yeah.
and even with a specific orientation towards events and community building, my focus is on Kenya and East Africa.
Kenya and East Africa.
Yes, because that is where I started.
Yes.
That's where I've practiced for the past 10 years.
Yes.
I focused on Kenya, grew to East Africa. Recently, I've expanded my reach to other countries in Africa. I have a huge focus on especially West and South Africa for the next couple of years,
Yes.
just to see how the African markets can embrace new ways of marketing,
Yeah.
how the African market can buy more from Africa. You know, there is so much potential in Africa that has not been tapped. Look at the population that is growing in Africa. We have the most youthful population. We
Yeah.
have great resources. We are exporting labor. We are exporting natural resources. We are exporting raw material so that they can go abroad and come back to Africa, being sold at a higher rate. And so I'm trying to think of how I can particularly contribute to the way Africa is able to tell its own story, sell its own products, sell its own kind of wealth that we have. We have a lot of untapped wealth. Marketing will help us solve that gap. And so, looking at East Africa and the impact that we've had, I focused on marketing, I focused on digital marketing, social media marketing, and branding.
Yeah.
Moving forward, I'm looking at now tapping into the new ways of marketing, tapping into understanding innovative marketing, AI, machine learning, and also to build up on the experience that I have with events and
Yeah.
in-person meetings, and how marketing can be coupled into those meetings. So do it in East Africa and grow into Africa in the next couple of years as a way of making Africa great.
I love the sound of that. I mean, that's a great initiative. Knowing, especially now that Africa has one of the biggest resource center in the entire world. Given that we have the youngest population, we still have some of the brightest minds. We have resources, right? We can build our own infrastructures because we have the capacity and smart people for that reason. So yes, go ahead. I'm looking forward for meeting up a couple years from today and you giving us some data between the whole of Africa and East of Africa, because I think one of the biggest competing regions in Africa is the East African community and the West African community. Like, which one of these two are dominating in the social world? Um, who is doing more than the other, right? Who's pulling more investors? Who's creating new apps? Who's better at selling more products? So it'll be a very interesting conversation to have. Anyways, now let's go back to your corporate world. You say you do a lot of events and helping, and so your marketing skills do apply in terms of branding and bringing people together so that you can all emphasize the concept of companies pouring back to the community. So could you talk a little bit more about that? How long did it take you for you to build that profile? Yeah.
Great. So about 2016
Yeah.
is when I started doing events, and especially entrepreneurship events. One of the reasons why I was interested in entrepreneurship events is because I had spent about 4 5 years just trying to understand business and how business works. One of the ways of learning so much is by listening to mentors, listening to great business leaders, and actually just borrowing an idea here and there about how you can apply what global business leaders are saying and doing and applying it locally. So that was my interest, and that is where I got interested in getting into events.
So this was 2016.
Yeah, so practically 2016.
Okay.
That's when I intentionally chose to get to events business.
Interesting.
And use events to do marketing at a serious scale.
Yeah.
And move from local marketing to national and international. So
Yeah,
that was in 2016.
That was 9 years ago, and you can still remember it like yesterday.
Yeah, because I try and enjoy each and every part of my learning.
Yes.
And when I make major decisions in my life, I tend to remember those dates and those times.
Yes.
So back then in 2016, I thought I want to get into the business of events.
Yeah.
Bring entrepreneurs together. That time I was spending some time in Eldoret, where I also studied. I tried to get into the corporate world, meet entrepreneurs, meet techies, meet tech leaders, meet national leaders who are interested in youth development, entrepreneurship development, women in business development. And so I met a lot of those people between 2016 and 2017,
Yeah.
and also part of 2018. And the kind of meetings that I used to have were just small meetings, 20 people, 10 people, and just discuss business, launch a few NGOs, launch a few training boot camps here and there. And so basically just to get to orienting myself with the business of events.
Yeah.
Then later on in 2018, I got to now have a formal business in events planning and management. And part of the inspiration that I had was now I have experience for about 4 years in helping other people to do events. I've already learned about how to bring people together, how to program events,
Yeah.
the impact of post events,
Okay.
how to facilitate network.
You said
Yes.
program event. I've
Yes.
noticed this concept you're pulling over about systems and programming
Yes.
on a larger scale.
Yes.
And
Yes.
that's something I'm really interested in. Is it possible to dive in right now?
Okay.
Yeah.
So the idea of event programming is to be able to think about an event,
Yes.
not just the place or the day when people meet. Think about the days before people meet. What are we saying?
Yeah.
What do we want people to gain out of our event?
Yes.
That is the thinking that goes, design thinking that goes before
Yeah.
an event is held. Then on the actual day, I would want to think about the person who was bored at home and gets to my event, say at venue X, and they want to really enjoy and make the most out of the event they attended.
Yeah.
And so I will be thinking about what kind of content we shall have. How are we building up the ideas that we are sharing during an event? Are we going to be talking about marketing, then talk about financial management, then finish with talking about how to apply marketing and financial management that we've talked about?
Yeah.
All that comes into programming. And then as we think about events, we also think about who is the right person to speak to the audience. That is also part of this systemic programming of an event. Who is the right person to speak to my audience? And who is the right audience to listen to the right speaker?
Yeah.
When you think about that, there is a lot of thinking to do before you set up an event. Then the other part is when you look at, for example, accessibility when attending our events.
Yeah.
We want persons with disabilities to come and enjoy an event, entertainment, and conversations, as well as any other person who doesn't have a disability. We want everyone to enjoy. And so we think about how people will access, how people will consume content, how people will engage with each other. If you attend any of our events, at Thai events, you'll find that we want people to have fun as they network and as they learn.
Yes, so that is
Anytime.
Thai events. That's TIA.
TIA events.
Okay, correct.
Yes, and TIE, just to bring it into perspective, TIE stands for Technology, Innovation, and Entrepreneurship. Those are our baselines and those are our pillars of any kind of event that we do.
So anytime anybody wants to pop up, that's what is
Anytime,
guaranteed.
anytime. Technology,
Yeah.
innovation, and entrepreneurship.
How often do you hold, like, right now in 2025?
Yes,
How's your
yes.
calendar looking for events?
Great. So we have on any year we have three major events
Okay.
in any year. Sometimes we have four, depending on how the year is structured. So for 2025, we have three major events. Those three major events will focus on entrepreneurship and tech, and also now in entrepreneurship and tech, we'll talk about innovation in all these things.
Yes.
Then apart from those, we have a calendar full of events every single month that we are supporting other people to run their own events. Now you'll realize that in the events industry, it's one thing to organize your own events. It's another to help other people to achieve the same impact that you're achieving by helping them put together the events.
Yeah.
So you'll find, for example, conferences that happen. Let's talk about Global Leadership Summit that happens every year. We've been in partnership with organizations like CITAM, and we've held CITAM Business Forum. And so we look at all those events that are aligned with our agenda of technology, innovation, and entrepreneurship, and see how to support them. So every month we are supporting another organization to do an event, but in March, in August, and also in November, we have our own events that are in the nature of a summit or conferences where we discuss serious business that affects our country and our region. This year, we are very much focused on building the African agenda.
The African
In
agenda.
tech, innovation, and entrepreneurship.
Okay,
So
so
very keen on now having techies from around Africa
yeah.
attending our events.
Oh my goodness.
Speakers from around Africa attending our events.
Able to leak the details?
Later.
Yeah,
later.
later.
In a later interview, I'll be
Okay.
able to share the details, especially post the events.
Yes,
Very
yes.
happy to share the ideas.
We love that.
Yeah.
All right, so it's great. So now who's those are your clientele?
Yes.
That's your clientele base. So you organize yourself, or you help other people like organize. So you do them on a corporate level.
Sure.
I'm getting you right.
Yes. That's
So
right.
when you bring people who you want to, to pour back to the community. So I know how expensive an event can be.
True.
How do you turn back? How do you turn around that into a profit? Because I still understand you have a team to pay.
Yes. All right. So people buy what makes sense.
Yeah.
For it to make sense, you have to think about it. Sometimes we spend months brainstorming about an event that will happen for just 3 hours. Wow. We spend 6 months to think about, to research, to just agree on an event that will happen for 3 hours. And so the reason why we spend so much time to brainstorm, to research, and also to even consult with other people, including the stakeholders themselves. Sometimes we'll do a pre-event research with, for example, banks, insurance companies, tech companies, and ask them, what would you want to be saying in 2025? So that now we can curate an event that speaks to the needs of the stakeholders, both the sponsors, the exhibitors, and the attendees. Now, at the point where we're able to sell value to all these stakeholders, the attendee, the sponsor, the exhibitor, and sometimes we even think about the government because we engage the government. The government has participated in our events for the past 6 years now.
Yeah.
And some of the events that we've held have actually been sponsored by government agencies. We've had KRA sponsoring, we've had other parastatal sponsoring.
Yeah.
And that is because we've been able to communicate value that we are selling to government agencies in being able to meet the citizenry through our events. And that is where, for example, you'll find out of all the sponsorship and exhibition income that we generate, that's where we get profits. Sometimes we are able to turn over profits from attendance, especially in some closed meetings that we have. Sometimes we'll have just a small audience that is able to pay very highly for just attending.
Yeah.
So in such cases, we'll get profits from attendance. But in most cases, sponsorship partnerships will normally help us to make a profit.
Yeah.
And all that comes after we've defined value for all the stakeholders in an event.
Sounds very interesting. So for these people to trust you, you literally have to know what you're doing, and you have to have built up a track record and a name for yourself.
That's very true. And for us, it's taken us 6 years to be trusted by many people.
As TI event.
As TI events. Yeah, TI events. Okay. We've taken 6 years to tell the Kenyan market, the East African market, that we are here for serious business. We are here to cause social impact. Yeah. We are here to build businesses. And that has also come with a lot of us aligning ourselves with entrepreneurship support organizations. Yeah. We have partnered with some organizations like Sandbox, which is a community of entrepreneurship experts. The top entrepreneurs in Kenya meet at Sandbox. And we have been partners with Sandbox. We have been partners with World International. We've also partnered with the SME Founders Association and many other SME or startup enablers and SME enablers, including ASEC. Those are people that we partnered with. KEPSA, the Kenya Private Sector Alliance. Yes. Those are people that we have partnered with because we believe that the work that they are doing in building entrepreneurship circles, the work that they are doing in building SMEs is also the space where we want to participate. We want to help them achieve their agenda of building a stronger entrepreneurship community in Kenya. And that's why we partner with them. And even in the new year, we want to get more partners and work with more people. We believe that while many people we want to compete, competition is happening at the bottom and collaboration is happening at the top. We want to remain at the top.
Interesting. I was going to ask about competition, but that insight just just made it as this. All right, so it's a very interesting thing that you are right at the heart of entrepreneurship, because I think one of the things that kills entrepreneurship, being a startup sort of entrepreneur here in the country, is the fact that you don't have access to resources that can take your startup from just being a startup to an actual business, right? Understanding business leadership and connecting with the right people, because again, you can't just thrive into a market if you don't have people who don't understand what's going on, and you relying on your own insight could be a blind spot. So you bring those people together. It's sounds to me like a great deal that I'd want to buy anytime, anywhere.
Yeah.
I got a couple of friends of mine. This is just speaking out of experience of the fact that you brought that situation up.
Yeah.
A guy pretty dope at creating apps, or they have a startup idea, right? Knowing what you know,
Yes.
they want to get funding because they already have, what we call this in the startup world is what we call an MVP,
Yeah.
a minimum viable product, and it's working, right?
Mm-hmm.
The concept has been validated. It's not, I would say, it's not unique, but the level of competition in the game, the level of entry is quite high, so there's not so many players on there. So the only beat that is remaining is getting this guy to produce this thing on a production level at a massive scale. But the good thing is software. Once you build it out right, you only have to build it once, and then what follows next is heavy marketing, right? So, what would you say, by looking into this camera and telling the entrepreneur the next step to follow from here?
Uh-huh. So there are many ways to look at how to build a startup.
Yes.
And especially when you have researched enough and you understand what the market needs. I want to believe that by the time an innovator or a startup or a founder has gotten to a point that they have an MVP, they've probably done so much research, market research, product research, brand research, and even predicted some of the environmental, political, and even marketing and market trends that are happening around at the time when they're building the MVP. So, for starters, when you have an MVP, I will be looking at how to speak to the right people who can fund that idea.
Mhm.
You'll be surprised that in Kenya, we have a lot of angel investors.
Yes.
Who are just looking for someone with a good MVP that can cause enough disruption in the market.
Tell me about it.
People are just looking for people with tech solutions that they can fund.
Do they have a checklist? Like
They do have a checklist. Yes, yes.
Okay.
Now, you'll even be surprised that part of the checklist is when they're doing their due diligence, they want to look at your ethical standards. What do you believe in? What are your values as a startup? Even before we get to your product, are you a person of integrity? Can I trust you with my resources? Can I trust you with my money? Can I trust you with the future of that business? Will you get money and tomorrow you don't have a team? Will you build a big team because you have a lot of money and tomorrow the business does not exist? So they look at value systems. All right. The other thing they will look at is how competitive is your product going to be in the market in the next 5 years or 10 years. And that's why most of the investors will talk about giving you funds for the first 2 years, then another seed round for another 2 years, and another 2 years, simply because they want you not to feel so comfortable about the money that you get, but feel comfortable about the impact that you're causing. And so you should be able to keep changing and iterating every 2 years so that you can give them value for their money and give the market value for the product they're consuming.
Yes.
The other thing the investors will be looking at, both angel investors, any other financiers, they'll be looking at how competitive is your product in the market now and in the future. Then what is the potential for your product to be changed and adapted for other markets? Your product could be making a lot of sense in Kenya today, but you try to sell that product in Tanzania, it doesn't move. So, are you able to create a product that makes sense in Kenya and iterate it to the Tanzanian market, to the Senegalese market, and even to some extent, if you can sell it globally, then it will make sense. Look at innovations like M-Pesa. That's a technology that has worked in Kenya
very well.
it's now working in other countries in Africa.
Yes.
Now we are also looking at how it can work in other countries globally. And that is transforming the way fintech is viewed globally from the Kenyan eye. And so those are the kind of innovations that investors will be looking at. And so it is the responsibility of the founder,
Yes.
the innovator, to think about solutions in the local space. Basically, to think global, act local, because you have to start causing your solutions and impact from where you are before you go out there.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's a great one for anybody who's watching this, man. Let me know where you added the checklist and what you literally need to do to get to the next level. And obviously, this guy will give him his contact so you can interact with him and know how to connect on the basis of your startup. Because there's a lot of entrepreneurs out here. Ideas are not a scarcity out here. Believe me, there's a lot of people, and I'm pretty sure you've seen this from the events, the turn up and everything.
Yeah.
All right, so now let's go to the other side. What's the number one thing that could cause a stunted growth on the African market based on your experience and predictions?
All right. So sticking to old technologies and not thinking about new technologies.
What kind of old technologies?
So let's look at transport.
Yes.
For instance, in some countries in Africa, you'll still find people battling with keeping yellow taxis.
Oh boy, really?
While the world is moving
Yes.
to taxi apps and such. So if you're still keeping to old technologies and not changing, I would even prefer that you keep the yellow taxi and have a taxi app.
Yes.
Because then you can access a better market. And look at finance. When you look at applications that we're using today, we moved from cash to other, say, card payments. People are now moving to mobile wallet technology. And so if you're not getting to e-financing or e-payments, and you still want to say that you're surviving in finance, then you're actually lying to yourself. You're likely to get stunted, and soon you'll be out of the market. So looking at how things are changing, marketing. Marketing has predominantly been about advertising, billboards, and such. So anyone who is not moving to combining an integrated approach to marketing and using digital marketing methods and innovative and disruptive marketing approaches, like using AI to generate content, like using content management or content creation as a way of marketing, using authentic storytelling for marketing, creating content that resonates to people differently, being able to target markets appropriately. So you don't just do an advert that you expect to sell everywhere using just one language, one style, and everything. Right now, you need to do marketing in a way that speaks to different audiences in different ways. You've seen advertisers like Coca-Cola. They're able to do one campaign in many languages, many styles for different audiences, and still achieve the agenda of selling more at a given period. I'm looking at how marketing has revolutionized in some organizations, even in telcos in Kenya. You've seen campaigns like Tuaweza, which speaks about people doing things in the community being empowered by a telco. So exactly, amazing stuff, causing happiness in the village while you are in the city.
Correct.
So very amazing stuff. Very amazing stuff.
Yes.
So if you look at how things are changing and refuse to change with things, then you're likely to be stunted in your growth.
Yes.
The other thing that I'll be looking at is to focus on just one product and not diversify what kind of approaches that you use to even build your products, change your products and such, then that could also cause stunting to a great extent. And so companies that will adapt to the future of business and companies that will be sustainable are companies that first respond to social needs. Number two, companies that take technology very seriously and adapt new technologies as they can. Companies that maintain high level of ethics, respecting people, building social cohesion. companies that respect their employees, companies that respect their clients and are able to respond to client feedback properly,
Yeah.
those companies will be able to survive. I'm also looking at global issues like climate change. Companies that are able to respond to climate change are going to survive much better than those that do not care about climate action and climate change. So being adaptable.
Wait.
Yes.
What are you seeing with climate change that for most people that they're not able to see?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the idea is sometimes we want to work with what has worked before without considering the impact of, especially the environmental impact of what has happened before. Global warming is not something that is starting today, it's something that started many years ago. And so if we don't look at the future of our actions today, matters the environment, then we are going to cause problems in the future, and our future generations will blame us for the problems that we are causing today.
That will be irreversible sort of action.
Exactly. Yeah. And we can only get worse. And so that's why even the market will ask you questions such as how are you, for example, recycling some of the plastic waste that you have? How are you helping us to recycle some of the materials and raw materials that we are using?
Yes.
How are you able to help us understand the environment better as a company? You might be a telco or an events company, but if you don't teach the audience or your client, your customers, if you don't teach them about ways of taking care of themselves, taking care of the environment, taking care of the people around them, then you're probably not going to be respected so much in future. And so we try as much as possible to tell people about things that will make sense in the future. We have to secure our generation today and our future generations.
This is the alphas. This is the alphas being built from the core.
Yes, and the betters that are coming up.
Yes. All right. So it's a pretty interesting fascination. Now this question goes to you on a personal note. I've noticed you have this sort of aura, this sort of energy that isn't energetic for for a person probably same age group as yours. What is the secret to staying vibrant and alive and energetic?
Great. First thing is to just live each day at a time.
Each day at a time.
Each day at a time.
Yes.
There's so much that happens in this world that you can't afford to be piling up things and problems from the past.
Oh, yes.
You just have to live each day at a time.
Yeah.
Think about what is happening around you and what opportunities you can take. Sometimes I would sleep with a baggage of ideas from the past, and tomorrow I find new information and new content, and I jump straight into researching about that new kind of perspective that I've learned. And I'm normally very excited by new information and new challenges. Sometimes I'll even be thinking about a new event concept that has been done elsewhere or has not been done, and even thinking of how can I sell something new to my audience? And so in the process of learning new stuff, it becomes very exciting.
Exciting. Yes.
I also derive a lot of pleasure from interacting with people.
Yes.
So anytime I'm with people,
I've noticed you're a social guy.
I get very happy.
Yes.
So when I'm happy, then we can have such conversations.
Yes.
And think about life on the positive angle.
Yeah.
And that is what translates into positive impact and positive innovations out there. I've gotten so much insights from just being with people, being in communities, enjoying marketing, learning, and just enjoying company. Yeah, and I love it so much.
Oh my goodness. Okay, so what I know there's a lot to talk about when it comes to this, but I'm just gonna ask. It's pretty dope. So, what is the one advice you'd give to a young guy who's probably in his 20s, probably you in your 20s right now? And maybe this guy's coming from a really dark place or something. So, what is that one advice you tell him about success, achievement, and a way of life that he can adapt to?
All right. So first, nobody chooses where they'll be born.
Yes,
that's a fact. You probably won't choose what your life will be like before you get your own ID if you are in Kenya. So before you can start making your own decisions and think about business and career, probably you have very little control.
Yes.
But as soon as you get to the majority age and you can start influencing decisions and influencing thinking and such, it is your responsibility to look at life with the lens of where you need to go as a person. Look at people you can borrow ideas from, people you can listen to, people that you can access, who can give you connections to the future. I'm looking at how research has shaped my growth,
Yes.
my journey. I Anytime I have an idea, I first research about that idea and think about what I can do on that idea or with that idea before I even reach out to Alan and another person, another person. So if I figure out that I can move 2 steps, and with Alan I can move 4 steps, and with another person I can move 20 steps, then I look at how I can do the whole breadth of the 20 steps. And that normally happens when you interact with people and you expose yourself to information.
Yes.
The other thing that you do is we don't lose hope.
Yeah.
First, sometimes you try ideas. I've tried many business ideas. They failed as soon as I wrote the business plan. Some of them failed as soon as I borrowed money to invest in that idea.
That's cool. Yeah.
And so you don't just lose hope because you got to a small accident or a small problem somewhere.
Yeah.
No, keep your eyes focused on the bigger goal. The bigger goal is for you to succeed. Define your own success and then keep going towards that success. The other thing that I'll look at is how technology has made life to become very easy.
Yeah.
So if you are seated somewhere and you have big goals in your life and you want to go very fast, use technology to research. Use technology to even propose or pitch. Sometimes use technology to even call people and ask for advice. I look at how, for example, if you're thinking about agriculture, and you're stuck on old methods of doing agriculture, yet technology can give you a lot of information on how to use new tech, machinery, and methodologies to get better results. So why would you be stuck on old things while technology has become very cheap, very available, and also very accessible to you?
Yeah.
Just take advantage of technology and people and move to the next step and the next step and the next step. Again, we cannot underscore the value of borrowing ideas or reading from those who have gone ahead of us.
Yeah.
It's important for you to study people who have gone ahead of you, people who are in business. Ask questions, get business leaders to talk to you. I normally say that I have gotten most of my opportunities from attending physical events and networking with people. That one is a fact.
Yeah.
You interact with someone, you tell them your vision, and more often than not, you get the right people. Here and there, you'll get bad people, you'll get bad advice, but most of the time, if you expose yourself to the right audiences, you're likely to get the right solutions for your problems.
Okay.
And so you move closer to your goals.
So, well, most people, goals are not taught in school.
True.
Right? True. Setting a vision probably is not one key subject that you can have, that you have to be examined on, or before you leave school, you're told, "Hey, man, write your goals down,
Yeah.
or write a vision down." So, what is one checklist you can give to still that, younger self, that he can probably look at this and start setting goals for himself, so that he can start, attracting, those events, great people, and magnetizing himself or herself towards, the greater good.
Okay, so goals are probably long term.
Yes.
Long term could be 3 years or 5 years or 10 years. But I look at goals as what I'll be doing today.
Yes.
Where am I today? What is making sense to me today? When I was in high school, my goals were totally different from making money.
Yes. Yeah.
My goals were totally aligned to getting an A in mathematics,
Okay.
getting an A in chemistry. Those are my goals by then.
Whoa.
Reason is
Yeah.
I wanted to get A's so that I can get to university.
Yes.
That was my 4-year goal when I was in Form 1.
Yeah.
When I got to campus, my goals changed. I wanted, by the time I leave campus, I wanted to be in business.
Yeah.
And what kind of business? I just wanted to start. I just wanted to be called a founder.
Yeah.
That one made a lot of sense to me. So I started trying to orient myself towards what founders do, how
Yes.
founders get to be, how they get to put things together so that they can start running businesses. After campus, my orientations changed. My goals changed to making the next person comfortable, getting a team to help me achieve my goals, to build my business. After some time, when you have a team, your goals start changing again.
Yes.
To how do I cause more social impact? How do I, for example, move from employing 2 people to 10 people? How do we move from employing 10 people to 100 people?
as well as from causing impact from 100 people to 1,000
to 1,000 people
Yes.
and 1,000,000 people. How do I make my impact in Kenya and move to the rest of Africa?
Yes.
And how will I sit in circles in the UK and the US and Europe and talk about my business in Africa?
Yeah.
So goals keep changing. But that is just a rider. The steps. First, understand where you are. Understand what you need to change today first. For example, if it is lack of information that is causing you probably a stagnation or lack of clarity,
Yeah.
first understand where you are, get information, and then start structuring your information to help you make decisions today and tomorrow. If you want to start running an investment in the next 5 years or having a stable investment, it starts with how you decide to start saving today.
Yes.
And that saving does not come from money that you don't have. So part of your daily decision will include you thinking about where to get that 100 shillings so that you can start saving today.
Yes.
So that in the next 5 years, you can have 5,000 shillings or 5 million. Apart from looking at information and starting today, look at how you can break down your goals into smaller sets of periods. 3 months, 1 year, 5 years, 10 years. Where do you want to be? Mm-hmm. If you can figure out what you want to do in 3 months, then the next 90 days will become very exciting.
Yes.
And you'll be looking at how after 3 months, you'll have achieved a certain goal. It will propel you to the next level. Then the other thing is to look at now, what resources do you need that are outside the reach that you can do on your own? Those resources you align as you move along. So sometimes it could be that you want to seek education.
Yeah.
Start preparing to get that education today. So that at the point where resources allow, get that education. If it is people, start attending events and talking to people today. We have social media platforms where you can just type Alan and look for Alan and ask him about media and how to grow in the media space. Within no time, Alan has given you tips and tidbits of how you can grow in media. Talk to Eugene and he'll tell you about events and community engagement. Talk to other people who can help you to do many things. Then the other thing that could be a barrier to the way we grow is when you want to do everything in this life and nothing in particular.
Everything and nothing in particular. I mean, isn't it that how a lot of people move?
Yeah, you move, you can run too fast for a short while, you won't go too far.
Oh boy, yes.
You won't go too far. So I'm thinking you need to think about, even if you have to diversify, at least diversify within a stable range. Yeah. For example, if you take one line of a career, please pursue that career. If you have to pick another one, let it be a minor of the bigger one. For example, I will think about my space in marketing. I would want to do different things within the marketing space that help me to achieve my goals to be a business leader in marketing in the next 2 or 5 years. That's how I would want to look at it. But now imagine if I'm doing marketing, I also want to do health, I also want to do agriculture.
Oh boy.
Very high chances in the next 5 years.
You'll be a master of none.
I'll not master anything.
Yes.
That's how we need to fix life.
I mean, you remind me of Bruce Lee. Yeah, Bruce Lee was like, I'm not afraid of the guy who does, 1,000 moves 1,000 times.
Yes.
But he's afraid of the guy who does one move
properly,
thoroughly
1,000
times.
Yes.
Because
that person has perfected that move.
Yes, they have perfected that move.
Exactly.
Now they're dangerous. They know the ins, the out. Just know how to get you.
And that's how even the market is.
Yes.
If today you decide to focus on one thing and do it properly, you're probably going to be paid very highly and very, very beautifully in the next 5 or so years. I'm looking at even in, pardon me for saying a lot of marketing stuff.
No,
because I understand marketing quite a bit.
Yes.
The way marketing is shifting is that in the past, we used to enjoy having macro influencers helping us to sell our brands. If you look at what has changed in the market now, is that I am more interested in a person with a smaller following who speaks about a certain subject every day.
Amen.
Tell them. Yeah. And that is the person I want to pay to influence for my brand.
And
I don't care about the big names that you have countrywide.
And that subject is congruent with what you're doing.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Because then people can believe that person and they can buy more from me because they believe in that person.
Yes.
So nano marketing, micro influencing,
Big results.
that is the in thing right now
Yes.
in
Yes.
marketing.
Oh my
Yes.
goodness. That's yeah. It's also trending right now.
Yeah.
I love the fact that you're into marketing. I think marketing is also a field that I'm into, and I really enjoy about it because if you look about business, you may have a great product, you may be the best sandwich maker, but you can't beat McDonald's even though they're not up to standards, right?
True, true.
Their potato is imported and all that kind of stuff. Why? Because they have the best name, and the best name is built out of marketing.
Yes.
So yes, I mean, I can't emphasize more than what you just said. About how important it is to stress on one point, one topic for a strong enough period of time. I think that's also one thing. I'm at a phase in my life right now.
Okay.
If I'm being, a little bit open with my audience as well as you as well, because
Yeah.
we're here to network, anyways,
Yeah.
right? Where I'm like, okay, so here I am. I know X, Y, and Z, but do I want to follow this sort of channel? Do I okay? Here's what I do for my clients, right? My client base is 100% in USA, and I like to keep it that way. So I'm like, okay, do I show my client, the people who follow me how to do it? Yes. Do I keep on doing more personal development stuff? Okay, is this congruent with all that kind of stuff? I'm yet to make up my mind. Okay. Because I'm still in that phase where I'm experimenting things. So by the time I make up my mind, and I'm the kind of guy who believes that I don't care about what other people think. I'm just gonna do this. If I fail, I get the feedback. If I get the feedback, then I know the next move that I need to make to get to the next level of where I need to be. Because now that the way becomes much clearer. Unlike sitting on a crossway and then you're like, oh boy, which way do I go? Just start with any, right? If this one doesn't lead you, you just like, okay, this doesn't lead me to where I want to go. Then there's still time to still, cross it up, move on to the next one, figure it out. Because time is one thing we have, and today is all that counts. Just do something.
True.
Right.
True.
All right. So, man, I can't. I love marketing as well. So it's great to see that we have a brother right here who's doing exponential things on a bigger scale compared to some of us out here who are doing this stuff from home. But as you said, it's the macro thing is also falling into like other pockets and dockets of life, such as the way we also choose to work.
Yes.
Yeah, there might be some of you who have to show up physically, but do you guys do it? Do you have your team working from home sometimes?
Yeah, we operate in a hybrid model.
Yes.
And it makes sense.
Yeah.
I don't see why we should be seated in an office
All the
the
time.
whole week
Yeah.
if we can talk from home.
Okay.
We actually get more work hours when people are working from home
Yeah.
than when we are working from the office, because working from the office has about 7 hours or something.
Yeah.
If you're working from home, sometimes we even do 20 hours and we're just fine.
In a day.
Yeah, in a day. Sometimes we do 20 hours.
Okay, for you that would make sense. You're the founder.
No,
You-
sometimes you get the staff really interested in working long hours
Yeah.
because we need to achieve something quite fast. Sometimes we also get longer rest hours.
Okay.
So sometimes we even take 3 days to rest. We
Oh
are
my
just
goodness.
not working.
Yes.
Yeah, and it makes sense. It's because systems are meant to work for us,
Yeah.
not to imprison us. And so, us working in a hybrid method means that we want everyone to produce at their best.
At their best.
Optimal performance is what will make your business work. It's not having systems that make people feel bad about showing up to work.
Yes.
Exactly. It's all about making everyone produce at their optimal performance.
I love that. I
Yes.
love that. And I think changing environment sometimes
Yes.
could be nice. And also, the way you think in a suit is very different the way you think in a jeans.
Very true.
Yeah.
Very
So that changes,
Very,
helps
very,
the other
very
person
true.
be empathetic on, to who gives you money. Yeah. So my other question, on you is gonna be like, yo, like, what is, I feel like even though we are on this journey to make it in life, I'd say, because everything grows, right? A tree germinates into a seed germinates into a tree or a full blown plant. A human being, though not, sometimes physical. After 20 years, you stop, growing physically. But we all want to grow, maybe spiritually, business life, and in every other areas of our lives. What seems to be the trace in the commonality of setting goals and wanting to become financially free? Is it the freedom that you get out of it? Is it the ability to to try out new ideas whenever they pop out of your mind? Like, what is the ultimate goal that leads to to everything else?
Mhm. All right. So let me just piggyback on where you had started on trying many things, especially when you are young, so that
Yes.
you can figure out where you want to go. And I want to be very honest with you. I've been there many times.
Yeah.
And I will say, in your 20s, please think about trying as much as you want. Make all the mistakes that you need to make in your 20s. Life becomes a little bit.
That's before your 30s. Even when you're 27, 29, still do it.
27 is a good time to start now creating a good path.
Yes.
But at least I've seen, especially in the tech space,
Yes.
people who are 20, 25, 26, doing many things. People founding businesses today and tomorrow they are not there. And they try a totally different field and they create new solutions that are more exciting.
Yes.
That die in 1 year. And they try another business. And maybe it's because a developer will be more interested in just creating a tech solution. And they're happy when the solution is good, but maybe they didn't figure out how to sell that solution.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe they didn't figure out how them being developers would mean to the rest of the team that they're working with.
Yeah.
You know, developing is one thing, selling is another,
What
managing finances is another. So probably you figured out everything about your solution apart from how to manage teams.
Oh my goodness.
And you actually need teams
Yeah.
to sustain your business. So try as much as possible, learn at that time.
Yeah.
Then the more mistakes you do, especially in your young age, the better you're likely to be when you're making bigger decisions later.
Yeah.
And I've been there. I've made many mistakes, financial mistakes. I've gotten into bad debts, very terrible debts. I've gotten to depression.
Oh boy.
Yeah, sometimes I get to a point where you have to format the team. You have a team, the whole team goes home because you can no longer pay them.
Oh boy. Yeah, that's depressing.
I've closed down an office. And at that point, I didn't even have money to even think about something else. I'll leave at all setting up an office, even thinking about my own life as a person, thinking about what to eat tomorrow. And so when you get to such times, you tend to interact with yourself even more. It builds to your self awareness. And so the resilience, the knowledge that you get, the power with which you bounce back to life and to that agenda is what determines how long are you going to stay in the next leap.
Yeah.
And so now the next leap is what brings us to why do we really want to work hard? What really matters? For some people, their financial goals will be about the thrill of trying new things, the thrill of luxury. I just want to wear Louis Vuitton and the best in the world.
Yeah.
Once I have that, I don't care about any other person. There are people who are interested by such things. And so you find someone just works hard so that they can get the best of clothes, cars, houses, and such. They don't care about any other person. There are other people that is where I would want to be, where I want to get so much money so that as much money as I have, then as many people as I would want to impact.
Yes.
Because I would want to sit at a place where education is no longer a problem where I am. I'm a product of people who sat and decided to support my education. All right. Yeah. They paid my school fees, they paid my shopping, and even gave me food. Why would I work so hard to not feed other people who don't have the capacity? Some people are sick and they don't have someone to take care of them. So part of my agenda of growth will be make as much money so that if there's a sick person you can reach, help them to get better, help them to get treatment. When they are well, they can help other people. So majority of the people, especially the ones that I interact with, because I also like keeping the right mentors who have the right brains for humanity. So those ones respect humanity, want to do social impact, and want to make more money so that they can impact the society more. Some people are just interested in changing world systems.
Yeah.
Some of them to cause more war.
Yeah.
Some of them to cause more hell.
Yeah.
Some of them to cause more social cohesion. Some of them just want to make a lot of money and die. All right.
Yes.
Everyone is interested and inspired by different things. But I'm very much inclined to the people who are um socialized and oriented towards causing more impact by the more wealth that you create. And I would want to rest there.
Okay, yeah,
Yes,
I think
to impact more people through the more wealth that I have.
this guy sounds like Carney. You know, you read that book, Think and Grow Rich.
Yeah, think
Right?
and grow rich. Yeah,
I think that was I think Carnegie
yeah.
was one of the good guys of all the billionaires back in his day.
Yeah.
You know, I think that's really nice.
Yeah, and we have many people who are not documented.
Yeah.
People who are causing real impact, even in Kenya. There are many people who are philanthropists,
Yeah.
angel investors. They just want to exist to make people who want to start and grow their businesses grow without even taking the credit.
I love that.
So we still have people in Kenya
Yeah.
and in the world who make social impact to make sense
Yes.
by their wealth.
All right. So, you got any favorite book?
Okay, I read quite a lot. I rarely want to think about one book in particular.
Yeah.
So I basically
let's do
don't
this.
have a particular book.
Let's do this. Your best book in finance, your best book in entrepreneurship, your best book in self-development,
Great.
your best book in relationships,
Uh-huh.
and your best books in general life.
I don't even think I've read that much. I don't think I've read that much.
Okay.
But Atomic Habits
Atomic Habits
has given me a good orientation
Yes.
of how I would want to think about daily and small steps leading to bigger steps. So when you look at what you want to achieve in future and how your daily contributions will lead to that future and you achieving your goals,
Yeah.
then Atomic Habits is a very great book for you to read. I've read Think and Grow Rich. Not so much to
Yes.
think about, but when you look at understanding culture and just knowing how to manage teams and what to expect from teams, I've recently read No Rules Rules.
Oh my god. Sounds interesting.
Yeah, No Rules Rules. So
Yeah.
when you look at the culture, that basically talks about the culture at Netflix and how the generation that has led Netflix to be a global thrill and trend.
Yeah.
That generation of I can work from home. I can work from 9 p.m. to 5 a.m.
Yeah.
as you work from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. So when you look at how to get the best out of your staff and your teams, then that book called No Rules Rules. It is basically to say, I want to understand Alan and make Alan perform best where he is. If he wants to work at home,
Yeah.
let him work at home, but give me the results that I want.
Yes.
Then No Rules Rules is a good book for you.
Interesting. Yeah. I mean, I love
Exactly.
that. Yeah.
But generally, for me, I enjoy listening more
Yeah.
than reading. I think my attention is much better towards visual content and actually listening, visual and audio. So I would want to listen to people like Vusi.
Yeah.
I listen to him quite a lot. I listen to Tom Robin clips. I listen to religious clips
Yes.
that talk about business. I look up to religious leaders who run business, like an icon that I look up to is called Rev Julian Chula.
Okay.
Rev Julian Chula will do business and still do church, like the two of them matter in this life.
Yes.
So I look up to such people. So when we meet and discuss life, religion, and business,
Yeah.
then I try understanding why someone makes billions on this side and still wants to come and preach to us.
Oh,
It makes a lot of sense.
Yeah. I mean, I love that.
Yeah.
All right. So, any other word you'd like to, to leave us before we wrap it up?
Great. So when I look at my life
Yeah.
this far, I'm a product of people investing in me.
Mm-hmm.
And so as young people, we should be thinking more about how to invest in other people. The decisions that you make today, make sure that they can affect our generation and the future generation positively. So it means that if you're researching today, so that you can build the creative field in the future, the marketing field in the future, or even like for my case, the event space in the future,
Yeah.
then I'll be thinking about how to do my work so well so that a person who wants to get into events and marketing in the next 5 years can look up to Eugene's story and borrow great things that will help them to achieve greater impact that I even achieved myself. Yeah. That is one thing, to think about the future. The other thing is to look at what is happening locally and globally and see how best to take advantage of global trends to impact the local community. Yeah. When you look at what you can do where you are, it might be limited. But if you study what is happening in other countries and other continents, and you're able to apply it locally, you're more likely to help Kenya and Africa to grow faster than if you didn't do anything. The other thing is about adaptability and flexibility. Yeah. My generation has been blamed for not being flexible. We just want things on a silver platter.
You're millennial, right?
Definitely.
Just to be clear.
I think it's quite obvious. Yeah. It's quite obvious. Yeah. So when you look at flexibility and adaptability, I would want to think about life as a way of changing and constantly changing for good. Yeah. So if that can constantly happen in your life, then you're likely to get good results as you go along. In my practice in events and community engagement, I have derived so much pleasure in having people come together, network, and exchange opportunities. I am always happy when I get feedback from attendees of my events when they say, I met so and so and they bought from me. I met a lady who sells insurance just about 2 days ago. And they told me how, out of just one event that we did last year in August, within 48 hours, they had gotten 3 businesses.
Interesting.
They had sold 3 policies to clients that attended my event. Yeah. And so when I look at such exchanges, when I look at a lady who is selling cashew nuts and nuts, and she tells me that she had not experienced advertising and exhibiting before we met. And so when we met, now she's gotten into the hype and the thrill of actually exhibiting in my events and other events. And so if I can cause such impact where you attend my events and get more opportunities, then that is the kind of impact that I want to have in the society. Yeah. And so if my generation and the people in business can think about the opportunities that you create by just having a platform where people meet, network, and exchange opportunities, then that's a good way for you to exist. Then finally, you don't stop believing in yourself. It's a game changer to you causing any change in the world. You first change yourself, then you can change the world. And that happens when you research, when you invest in yourself, when you stay positive, and when you are very intentional in causing social impact. That is the only time you can impact the world. So I'm very excited about this.
All right, Eugene, where can people find you?
Great. So everywhere on social media, you can find me at Eugene Mushai. Eugene Mushai is Muchai. So Eugene Mushai across all social media platforms. Yes. I'm very happy to engage each and every one of us and to talk about life, talk about business, talk about social impact, and even talk about growth. It's something that I'm always happy to do. I'd like to invite each and every one of us to follow us even at TIE Events, TIE. Space, then events on all social media platforms. Happy to engage with you, happy to host you in our events, and also happy to host events for you.
All right, so that's where people are gonna understand the next upcoming dates.
Exactly.
Or
yeah.
Do you have any specific you'd like to share?
Yeah, in April we have the biggest startup event in Africa happening. It's called the Nairobi Startup Summit. It's now getting to its third round. Mm-hmm. So the third season is happening this April. It's always happened in April. Yeah. So we have the third season. Now this time we are doing an African perspective. We've done Kenya, we've done East Africa. Now we are doing an African perspective of the Nairobi Startup Summit in April. Stay tuned for updates on the same. You'll see amazing partners, amazing sponsors, and amazing attendees will be there in April in Nairobi.
All right, Yuzi, it's a pleasure having you on the show.
Thank you so much.